Hi and welcome back to the giant world of tiny things. My name is Maximilian and as you can see today we're in the kitchen again and I'm just about to go through the cupboards and roam through my fridge in order to find some creative components that most of you will have at home as well, or at least can pick up at the grocery store, and then we're going to take these components into my studio next door and take some creative macro shots with them. So let's have some fun together. I'll see you after the intro. Okay, so let's take a second just to go over the equipment that I'll be using in this video to make sure that you guys understand what I'm doing and to make sure that you can follow along at home if you'd like to. Let's begin with the camera, and as you can tell I'm using my beloved Canon 6D Mark II. It's just a beast of a camera and I'm in love with it. But if you don't have a full frame camera, just use what you have. If you have an APS-C camera, use that. If it's micro four thirds, use that. And if it's your phone, slap on a mobile macro lens and use that. And if you don't have a mobile macro lens, guess what? You can just use your grandma's reading glasses and they'll get you closer. This is about having fun and not about going fancy, and to be quite honest, the camera body is the only really professional grade gear that I'm using in this video. The rest is rather budget friendly, beginning with the lens, which is a reversed manual Canon FD 28mm lens, which can be found on eBay starting at roughly $50. Throw in a couple reverse adapters and a Canon FD to EOS adapter to hold the aperture pin in place and you might be at $75, but this is a really useful and versatile macro lens. If you reverse mount it, it yields roughly 2.5x and it gets you pretty close for a budget friendly lens. And you can also just mount it the right way around, which yields roughly 1x, maybe a little bit less, but at a really wide angle of view, which provides a really unique perspective. And this is just a versatile setup that I'm in love with. Now, you can tell that I'm also using an external speedlight because it's right here standing in the frame, and I also got a remote flash trigger on my camera, which might not be super budget friendly, but it's not gonna break your bank either. But if you like to go the budget friendly route, you can just use a flash extension cord which you can mount on the hot shoe, the flash mount of your camera, and the other part goes right underneath your flash, and there you go, you've got yourself a budget friendly off-camera flash that you can just hold wherever you want it and shine it on your subject, play with different angles. And yeah, I always recommend to take your flash off camera because it just opens up new worlds in terms of creativity. That's about it. There's just a couple more things to mention. One is this DIY flash modifier, which is brilliant for macro photography. Of course, sometimes we want directed light, and if we want directed light, well, let's just take it off the flash. But it's nice to have the option, and if you're interested in how I built this, check the description below. I'm gonna post a link to my tutorial video on how I made this diffuser. I might be using this flashlight that you can see right here just to add a little bit of mood, and maybe I'm gonna pop it in the background to imitate a sunrise or something like that. Now, I think I mentioned everything that I'm going to use in this video, so let's jump into it. As you can see, I successfully gathered quite a few different interesting looking foods there behind me, along with some kitchen items such as a spoon and aluminum foil, which might just come in handy during the shoot, may that be as reflectors or as subjects. And once we succeeded and took some beautiful images, we're going to celebrate with some high percentage rum. I'm just kidding, I don't even drink booze, but this bad boy here got 40% of alcohol, so we're going to see if we can set it on fire for special effects. Now let's dive right into it. And this is our first subject, which is called a Romanesco cauliflower, and this has to be one of the most beautiful looking vegetables on this planet. And to be quite honest, I was completely unaware that these even existed until last night when I came across it in the grocery store, and when I first saw it I knew I wanted to photograph it. Man, I wanted to photograph it badly, and so I purchased it because it was the last one, and who knows, it would have been gone today. What a horrible idea. Even though it's not in perfect shape, we're going to make some awesome images of this beauty, and yeah, let's dive right into it. I'll be using my 28mm lens the right way around, but because of the varying flange distance to the original Canon FD mount cameras, it'll work as a macro lens, as I already mentioned, at roughly 1x, and I enjoy the wide field of view for this subject because it allows me to include some of the background, which will be more of these beautiful little spiraling hills. So let's take some images. I'll also be using this diffuser just to make sure we get some soft lighting and no too harsh shadows. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's take some more. Wow, just wow. Now I have an idea already for the flashlight that I've previously shown you. This little light, which I attached a couple of gels to in orange color, is going to simulate a rising sun behind these hill-like looking little structures of that cauliflower. So I'm going to mount this in the background and then we'll see if we can simulate a miniature sunset over these rolling green hills. I'm excited for this. Next, we're gonna photograph some mushrooms, and these are really some beautiful looking specimen, and I got some really interesting lamella inside them. And to reveal the lamella, we're going to remove the stem of the mushroom and then we're going to peel back the outer skin of it to reveal the lamella underneath and take some interesting shots of the details that we're going to find right there. When you remove that skin, just be careful not to damage the lamella, as they are really fragile, and we don't want to photograph something damaged because it's just not gonna look as nice as if we take good care of it. And there we go. Let's zoom in. And for our mushroom shots, we're going to keep the speedlight off camera. Maybe we'll use the diffuser in a bit, but for starters we're just going to keep the light directed to see if we can really accentuate those little interesting and intricate structures inside the mushroom. And yeah, let's just have a play with it. And again, we'll be shooting this with the reverse 28mm lens to really capture all the detail that we can possibly reveal. Now let's use some soft light to just alternate the light a little bit and get some variation, and I think it's going to look beautiful just as well. And whenever we attach a diffuser to our speedlight, we need to increase the flash power to make sure that we're actually compensating for the lost light that the diffuser will cost us. I think we need to put this on camera for what I have in mind right now. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. You have an idea and you adjust your settings, you adjust your setup. It doesn't always work first take, but that's why we're artists and that's why we enjoy what we do, because it's a creative process and we do create awesome images here in the giant world of tiny things. And there we go, that's more like it. Now let's do one last thing to just alter the perspective that we have a little bit. And we're going to break this mushroom right through the middle. Actually, I think cutting is the smarter idea, just to get a clean edge. And then we will be able to shoot at a way flatter angle right into the mushroom and its intricate lamella. I do like the word lamella. It's a very melodic sounding word. And it's a beautiful subject too. Yeah, these are some awesome images and I could keep going, but I think I have to stop myself at this point because we got other subjects waiting, so let's move on. Alright, for this subject I got a couple ideas, the first one of which is an absolute classic. We're just gonna cut this mandarin straight down the middle and we're going to take some nice symmetrical shots of just the geometrical structure that we'll find inside, so let's get started. Awesome, that's looking pretty good, looking really delicious. It makes me want to eat this mandarin right away, but before we do so we got a couple more shots to take. Now the trick with photographing plain, flat subjects such as this one is to keep them on a slight angle towards your camera lens, just to make sure that the entire subject is getting light, is getting exposure, and that it's not shading itself, such as it would in a scenario such like this. Now, of course, this is only applicable if you're using an on-camera speedlight or a setup similar to mine. If you're using a different sort of light source, of course, it depends on your angle of light, but you always want to make sure that your entire subject is evenly lit, at least if it's something symmetrical like this. And at the same time, you also want to consider that you want it as parallel as you can have it to your sensor plane while achieving that to maximize your depth of field. Now for the next shot, we're going to take one of those single slices, probably of a new fruit, just to make sure we get a nice cut slice, and we're going to take the inner peel off and just photograph the real naked meat of the fruit, and I think that's gonna make for some interesting structures. Let's do it. So if I did a perfect job here might be debatable, but I think our subject is looking photogenic enough to take some great images with, so let's shoot some light through it from in behind and see what we can come up with. To do so, we're going to take our speed light off camera again, and I think we're going to lose the diffuser as well. Wow, that's amazing. That's even better than what I was hoping for. I think we're done with the Mandarine. It doesn't get much better than this. And that's it for part 1 of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed today's content and that you get to walk away with a bit of new inspiration. If that's the case, please leave me a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hit the bell notification down below to get notified when I upload part 2 next week. Until then, stay creative, keep shooting, and have a good time. Bye!